This is Artists at Work, and I'm your host, Andrew Pa. With me today is Kara Stewart, the Executive and Artistic Director of ArtSparks, a dance and music outreach organization based in Akron. She's also on the University of Akron dance faculty. Welcome, Kara.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so thrilled to have you here for so many reasons. One, you founded that terrific organization, ArtSparks, but also I had the privilege of working with you for 2 years doing my arts administration master's degree.
Right.
So before we get too far into the conversation, can you just explain a little bit about what ArtSparks is and what they do?
Sure. ArtSparks is an educational outreach program that's based on dance and music. We underscore academic content through the arts. And we serve, last year, almost 4,000 students in Northeastern Ohio, several different sorts of programs throughout Northeastern Ohio. And really, the fine arts are underrepresented, and certainly dance is underrepresented. So that's
Exactly.
a big mission of ours, as well as just, teaching life skills.
Yeah, no, and the reason that I am so interested in this organization is I remember during our arts admin program, there was one class period where you had us all come in and experience what it was like to be in one of the classes. You did some of the songs, you had us do some of the movement, and it was just so fascinating. And then how you incorporate those core curriculum requirements from math and English and science is really, truly interesting. And we'll get a little more into how you kind of came up with this idea later.
Okay.
But I wanted to also start off with, how did you become involved with the arts? I know you're originally from the Akron area, correct?
I am. I was, born and raised in the Akron area. I always say that I'm one of the lucky ones. My parents understood the value of the arts. My mother put me in dance when I was very young. It just was a home for me from a very young age. I remember just thinking that that's all I really wanted to do from the time I was maybe 6. And so ballet became my whole life. That was it. I just wanted to be a ballerina. So that's where it all started.
Yeah, so you said started at the age of 6. I mean, that's about the same time a lot of people start with, instrumental and even the visual arts nowadays especially. People are starting young, and that's when they go into it. So you, after you kind of got that start, you started actually dancing professionally when you were a teenager.
I did. At that point in time, I'm dating myself, in the early 80s, it wasn't uncommon for ballet companies to be hiring apprentices and trainees that were younger, if they were ready to do that. So I did apprentice with the Ohio Ballet during high school, and it was quite an experience to sort of have a job. And so I attended high school for a couple of hours a day and reported for class at 11:30, and started my career very young.
Yeah.
Very young.
So what was, you decided that ballet and that was it. Was there a moment that you remember specifically that said, yes, this is what I want to do for sure? Or was it just kind of a series of moments?
I think it was more of a series of moments. It was coming to the realization that that I had an aptitude and that I felt comfortable in that arena. I think one of the things about the program that we really sort of champion is that children find success in all number of ways. Not necessarily through a test score. So I was one of those children. Although I did well in school, dance was where I just knew it was going to be my home. I felt like I could be successful, and I just gravitated toward it.
Yeah, that's kind of similar to what I had too. I mean, when I started violin, it was very much I think I like this thing. I don't know why. One of my friends in elementary school played, and he invited me to orchestra, and then one day I decided when I got to my freshman year of high school, hey, I really like this. I want to do this. So I started practicing a bunch, and then I eventually got a teacher.
Right.
Until I got to really one of the master's degrees, I never really felt like I was truly good at it, or going to get good at it, because for me, I'd always, it was a little more struggle because I didn't have some of those initial fine motor skills that I think if I would have taken piano at a younger age or even done some movement classes.
Right.
And I mean, since then, I've really started to do things like yoga and things to kind of create more of that body awareness. So it's always interesting to kind of see the progression. And then, you did that, the Ohio Ballet, but you actually left Akron for a year, and you actually graduated in North Carolina.
I did. I ended up graduating from the University of North Carolina School of the Arts. I did just go there my senior year. It was a strange situation with being in a professional company in high school. My parents weren't altogether comfortable with it, and things were changing. And so I went away for my senior year of high school, and it was a great experience. I mean, what a fabulous school. I'm proud to have graduated from there.
Yeah.
And then, off to New York I went.
Yeah. So what did you end up doing in New York?
I ended up getting a job with one of my dream companies. I was hired by Elliott Feld and promptly cracked my hip.
Oh.
Very shortly after, maybe 2 months in, I had my first real serious hip injury. And I was young. But I'd been dancing professionally since 14 and a half, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I got to New York, I had a few years under my belt, and I always had hip problems. I was born with a hip dysplasia, which as a dancer makes you really flexible because you basically have no joints.
Yeah.
But what I came to realize was that it also made you more fragile. And so I did that for a while. I did some opera. I went to performed at the Kennedy Center for a season and was able to do a little bit more dancing, but it became really clear very early on that I was not going to have a long career on the stage, which was heartbreaking. Of course,
Yeah.
I spent my whole life working
Yeah.
for it, and my body sort of betrayed me at that point.
Yeah, well, and that's honestly part of the reason I actually kind of went into arts admin is because I realized, it's a lot of small muscle, repetitive motion movements. I have actually had tendonitis myself when I was 20, and I love playing, I love teaching, but there's just that security of you're still playing 8 hours a day.
Right.
And you do that for a long time, and since I'd already had issues, I was like, maybe it's time to continue playing, because I still certainly do, but
Right.
also expand what I'm doing.
Right.
So after you had to make that decision, what kind of happened after that? Is that when you came back to Akron?
I did. I came back to Akron, and quite frankly, I didn't step foot into a dance studio for 15 years. I just turned my back on it. I couldn't even sort of grasp the fact that ballet was out there in the world. And so, yes, I got my first degree. I got a psychology degree. I started to do some social work. I opened a health food store because I was really into natural health. And then I walked into a dance studio. My husband had given me a certificate for adult ballet. And he said, "You really need this," because at that time I had been diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. There's a story.
Oh.
Yes, and he said, "You really need this. Just go take a class." And I walked into that studio, and it just so happened that that they needed a teacher, and I had known this family, and they just said, "Please, please, please," and I never looked back. I closed the health food store and started teaching, and then got a BFA in dance and a master's in arts administration, and pretty much here I am today.
Here we are today.
No, here I am.
Well, how I didn't know you had a lung cancer diagnosis.
Well, and actually it was just a diagnosis when I was treated for it for a while, and I had a thoracotomy, big old surgery, and found out that what I have is pulmonary sarcoidosis, which is a very manageable condition.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I mean that's something I've dealt with, but it's certainly not lung cancer. But
Yeah.
it changed my life. I mean, it really did. As soon as I walked into that dance studio, I felt like somebody put their arms around me, and I knew. I was home, and it just changed the whole trajectory.
Yeah.
Everybody's road is not straight. I
Yeah.
try to tell students that all the time.
Yeah.
Look,
Exactly.
we all have a winding path, and you'll figure out why when you get there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I was first getting ready to walk into the arts admin classes, I was just, what is going on?
Right.
This had been my plan. I had worked on it for a decade.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah.
What is happening? Why am I suddenly not doing this?
Right.
And now that I'm out and I'm working and I'm doing all these things, I can see where the arts really helped me to be successful in the things I'm doing now.
Right.
Because, with music and the violin, and when you are studying at such a high level, attention to detail, critical thinking, the ability to explain what you're doing and your thoughts is so important. And that's really helped me with, now that I do more writing and I actually do some graphic design work and I do, I create copy and things like that. It's really helped that. Plus my knowledge of history really helps me in the marketing And it's really nice to be able to fuse that together. And looking back on it, it's like, oh, this all makes so much more sense now.
Right. Well, and those are the types of things that we're sort of championing in ArtSparks, you know, because many students don't get the opportunities that you had. And you know, even persistence at a task. I mean, look at the persistence both you and I had to have growing up, and how organized we had to be to have our lessons and have our schoolwork done. Those kinds of things are inherent in arts programming, and in dance programming. You know, we sort of have that extra little layer of the physical activity.
Yeah.
You mentioned before about students being sort of, you knew it was for you.
Yeah.
You find that intrinsic motivation to practice, to be better, to be your best self.
Exactly.
And that's what we're striving for. I mean, everybody wants that for their children, for their community, right? We all want to be our best selves, and but if children don't find the place where they can be their best selves, how do they know what that is?
Yeah.
You know.
And it's you know, that exposure, because there's and I know, you know, ArtSparks is really, you know, tries to get into schools to help supplement arts programs where they might not even have any.
Right, and that is our goal. We are definitely targeted with our population.
Yeah.
You know, we want to make sure that students who might otherwise not have the opportunities to experience, you know, high quality music and dance programming.
Yeah, well, and something that, you know, is so great about it is on the website is you have that there's a short little clip where it kind of talks about ArtSparks, and just seeing the kids light up, you know, as you're doing that, and seeing the excitement and seeing how into it they are is so great.
Yeah.
You know, as an adult, I haven't gotten so fully into something like what they are with moving my arms and my body around like that. But just seeing that happen and, you know, really seeing them experience something like that is just so great. And it's, you know, and you're able to bring it to them.
Right. And that's important too, because, you know, we are a during the school day program. We don't do after school programming. We do that for a reason. I mean, we feel like the arts should be on par with the other academic subjects, and to marginalize it as only a recreation is you know, it's sort of, like I said, marginalizes the fine art. And we do champion the fine art. Look, we're not creating ballerinas, although we have some students that have gone on to have scholarships, just for the record.
Yeah.
But it's amazing when you walk into class the very first day, and especially in a new school where they don't know who ArtSparks is yet. And you know, you're getting some looks from the 4th and 5th grade boys, and you know, and then they're the ones in the front row at the end. You know, just experiencing that physicality. And really, it's experiential learning.
Yeah.
They are embodying what it is they're learning. And so I think it just makes the experience that more impactful. What we know is that, I mean, years later, we have students come up to us in grocery stores and on the street and everywhere saying, "Aren't you Miss Kara? Aren't you Mr. Ron? I was at Preston in 4th grade, and you taught us," and I mean, they will do the dance in the grocery store. You'll have a high school boy doing a dance in the grocery store, and you think, okay, you got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
You know?
And that lets you know that it's working.
Yes.
That really lets you know that the exposure is working, and that people, it's opening them up to something that they might not be open to.
That's right. And you know, I mean, we also have to think of the fact that these children are going to be parents one day. They're going to potentially be arts patrons and art supporters. And I think, you know, our arts audiences are dwindling because people of my generation who have kids didn't necessarily take their kids to the orchestra or to the museum or to the ballet. If they didn't experience it themselves, how do you know the value of it if you don't experience it yourself? How do you why would you want to if you don't understand it, right? So a lot of different layers about why I think we're impactful in that way.
Yeah.
You know.
No, that's so amazing. I mean, my parents brought me to a little bit of everything. Everyone actually thought I was probably going to end up in musical theater because I used to sing all the time. I used to, you know, sing, move.
Yeah.
I would sing randomly. Like, I would make up words. I would make up new songs. But then somewhere along the line, I kind of got shy, and I decided that I would prefer to have an instrument instead of using my own voice. Luckily, I eventually started doing a choir. But
You're very shy now, by the way.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
I'm so shy.
You need to outgrow that, Andrew.
No, it's just you know, the power of the arts is just so incredible. And it's just so, great to see, an organization like that. And I mean, you have these 3 words there, dance, music, and joy. And that's exactly what it is. And that's what you're wanting students to experience.
Right, exactly. We really wanted to make sure that music was a big part of it. We have live musicians in our classrooms, which, I mean, you just can't replicate it. You can't replicate, and we have a band at our end of the year performances, and and we tell the students, why do you have a professional musician sitting at the piano? Because you deserve the best, and that's what we're going to give you. And the standard that we hold them to in terms of being excellent and having energy every day, we hope that we model that as a team of 3. We go into the schools. But what I think the result is joy. It's discipline, it's structure, it's persistence. And you have to remember your steps. Sequencing is important, and persistence is important, and working with the person next to you is important. But at the end of the day, when you do it and you do it fully, you do experience joy. And that sort of intrinsic motivation to want to take that into other areas of your life, hopefully. You understand that hard work pays off.
Exactly.
And it's rewarding in ways that are almost intangible. It's a feeling that I think they get. And so when you see them in those classes or in that video and they're just lighting up, they don't even know they're lighting up.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it, is that they're children and they're just having a great time. So, that's the reward for me.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
We have a lot of nice little success stories, but walking into a classroom and feeling that energy is something that you just can't put into words.
Yeah. So, a lot of people know what goes into actually forming an arts organization. And this organization is 6 years old now?
Yes.
So it was founded in 2012. How did you spawn this idea? I know you had a co-founder.
Yes.
Was it just one, or was there more than one?
There was more than one.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple
so I know
of
there
us.
was some, some co-founders involved, and you kind of teamed up and created this organization. How did that come about?
I tell people, I don't really know, because it just was sort of something I couldn't not do. I mean, I had a full-time job at the university. I'd done this work before, and I'd taken a break from it, and something in the back of my head kept saying, you need that, the community needs that. You know how to do it, So it just sort of evolved, and I did ask a couple of other people to come on board right away and help me found the organization, because I wanted it to be a partnership. And now we have 11 people on staff, and I feel like we're all partners. I may be the, sort of anchor, so to speak, but it's a collaboration, and it just kind of happened. One step led to the next. I mean, you took those classes, got an attorney and went for it.
It's just it involves quite a bit. There's a lot of steps to get it, and then it's a nonprofit, so you have that added element of fundraising and finding financial support for it in a different way than if you're asking someone to invest in a for-profit company.
Absolutely, right.
So and I think one of the more creative things, and something I have not seen another organization do, is actually incorporate science, math, English along with it.
We do.
And I think that really, that makes it incredibly innovative, and I think also makes it a very approachable and I can't think of the right word, but it makes it very attractive to potential donors, because it's a more comprehensive educational experience for those people who might not necessarily know the arts as well, but they know the importance of those other areas, and they can see the importance in a different way.
Right.
And then you can kind of bring them along for the journey into the arts side of things.
They can see it. I really wanted to add that layer of the academic content, and believe me, we're not teaching the academic content. We're underscoring what they're learning, and for many students, this is where it becomes sort of hardwired, because they are receiving it kinesthetically or musically, either way. I think that one of the things that as I started to teach more at the University of Akron, I teach the dance pedagogy classes, I realized how important it is to curriculum map and to have rubrics and to be aligned with OD standards and all the public school standards. And I wanted a program that met that and went above and beyond that. So that academic piece was sort of a no-brainer for me in a way. I mean, and let me just be really clear. The fine arts are our focus.
Yeah.
But having that extra piece, and that extra piece takes a lot of work, is it's I think really essential. It's true arts integration, and there's a difference. And I'm all for any sort of exposure to the arts. Arts infusion is wonderful, but when you talk about an arts infusion, we are going in for 30 weeks at a time, and we are really we know our students, and we're making those connections, and then we're working with the teachers very closely so that we can support what they're doing. And it takes a lot of administration, but I think the payoff is just so much richer when you approach it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
So I feel like we're educating the educators as well, because I can't tell you the number of classroom teachers who say, "Oh my gosh, I never in a million years imagined that this is what this was," or "How do I incorporate some of this into my classroom?
Yeah.
What if I want to do something while they're at their desk? Can you help me give some movement into my day?" I just did, and I'm doing again a little workshop for Summit Education Initiative about that, about incorporating movement into the day. Some teachers are intimidated by it, but once they see it, boy, there's just no reason why they can't do it themselves to a certain degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, not everybody can do it. And one of the hallmarks about my program as well is that I only hire degreed professionals, because as you know, holding master's degrees and such, it is important.
Yeah.
You do need it. There's a big difference between somebody who really understands education and pedagogy and instructional strategies and somebody who's maybe just been in the band or taken some dance. I mean, it's a different skill set. So, I mean, we take our jobs very seriously and have fun.
Yeah, and I think that's important to note, because a lot of times, like in the music world, we say we play the violin. Well, to some people that gives the wrong impression that we are playing all the time. And it certainly has the enjoyment factor in it,
Right.
but I tend to try to avoid that word when I'm describing it.
That's interesting.
Because I want to say I'm a performer, and that informs them a little more, because that lets them know there's more background work than what some people might imagine.
Oh, yeah.
So that talking about the curriculum, which actually you have all the curriculum guides right here. How incorporating that, and also another factor of it is a lot of the schools you actually go into, they don't have those arts, and some of them don't have the physical education components either.
Right.
Correct.
Correct.
So that's always, that's another way too you go in. And then I know there are foundations that support the organization.
Right. Thankfully.
Thankfully, because
Yes.
these are free programs to the students.
They are free programs. We have a couple of school systems that will pay for, a limited workshop because they're able to, and because they have contacted us, and so we do that a little bit. But the majority of our classrooms are supported by grants and patron funding.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's the fun and the scary part about nonprofits, especially ones where at least when it's a concert or presenting organization, they have ticket sales to help, supplement their income. But with yours, it's it's all of that. So I know, what was it, last April? I believe you started another new component where you have, it's called TNT, right?
Yes. So
can you tell a little bit about that?
That is our after-school program, but it's our after-school program. These are students who just had such an affinity for the program during the day, and just really basically couldn't let it go, and just wanted it so much to keep dancing and to learn more about dance, that we did start an after-school sort of a scholarship program. So we have a Team TNT. They have performed with the Akron Symphony. They perform with Neos Dance Theater. They're going to be at Stage Fest this year. I mean, they've been at First Night. I mean, some really great venues. And they're kind of our ambassadors now in the community. It's a group of students who graduated through their first year, and now they come every Friday and work for a couple of hours, and they go out in the community and perform, and they get a deeper understanding of the art and of performance and what that takes. So that's been a really, really fabulous program.
Yeah.
Fabulous program. Yeah.
So was that then, what space do you actually hold that in? Is that?
We're using the Quirk Cultural Center in Cuyahoga Falls right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we rent a studio there. on Fridays to have a space, because we don't have we're out in the schools. We have an office, but we don't have a studio because we're not teaching ballet or jazz or that sort of thing. You know, our teachers are going all over the place every day. We have teams out everywhere. Yeah,
because you're in something around, is it 30 schools consistently, or is it does it vary per year?
Yes, it's year for year, and that I would say is probably just a modest number because of the number of workshops that we do. Some schools we go into for 5 or 6 weeks. Other schools are full 30-week programs. And we have a vibrant preschool program in Head Start, which is growing. And we are about to start a new program in the Akron Public Schools that is a integrated program with special needs students and peers, same age peers. So they will dance together. And I think that's going to be really powerful.
Yeah, yeah. So I know that this probably you'd already kind of said that, this informs a lot of what you teach in the classroom at the University of Akron.
It does.
And
and vice versa.
And I'm sure, do occasionally sometimes the students from the university, I know that you hire degree professionals, but do they sometimes come in and volunteer with the organization and kind of help and see the work that goes into that?
Yes, and that happens after they've graduated. Although some of my students will come to the show, and we certainly talk about those things. But yes, and actually 2 of my current staff are Akron University graduates, people that I had in class. I mean, I teach ballet as well, people that I had in class for those 4 years of their college degrees. And their interest was sort of sparked, I think, by having experienced it in college. We also have another from Kent, another teacher who came from Kent, and she experienced the program because a professor there brought her class to watch what we did, and she just said, "Oh, wow, I need to do this," and now she's doing it. So that's been exciting to hire local people who, have an affinity for what we do.
Yeah, and it's it's 6 years old, so now it's getting more exposure. More of local professionals are seeing that work. More school districts are becoming aware, and I think that's really allowing it to become a more regional organization. It's allowing you to start to reach more schools.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I remember you were just starting to go into Ravenna when I was an arts admin student, and I remember you talking about that, and that was incredibly exciting because I think you were going into the entire system.
It was like Portage County. That was our first, foothold in Portage County, which was a big deal for us. Yeah. It's neat to see how we really have grown exponentially, and we have a waiting list of schools for every program right now. So as funding increases, our capacity increases. So
exactly.
That's really the bottom line.
Yeah, so that way you can hire more teachers so that you can actually go and reach more of these schools. Because I know, I'm sure everyone's incredibly busy because they have to go from school to school sometimes. So, no, that's absolutely incredible. Well, if people want to find out more information about ArtSparks, where can they actually find it?
We do have a website, and it's www.artsparksdance.org.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you and to be able to talk like this with someone I consider a mentor of what I do now.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Your time.
Yes, thank you. Until next time, everyone.